Good evening, weary pilgrim. Fear not. It is Ira Grimes, your guide through the misty bending river. That is my mind. You know, when I am asked who my favorite authors are, I have to stop and really ponder the said question. For if I have to be honest, I would have to say, I am my own favorite author. I know how that sounds, but I am probably one of the few authors out there brave enough to admit I don't read many books. Probably 3. And that is in a lifetime. It is probably because I did not learn to read until I was 27. Never had much of a need for it, really. That is, of course, until I decided to go into a career as an author. Then I read a couple Dan Brown books, and then I just figured it all out from there.
Who am I? Perhaps you have met me twixt sleep and wake, in the penumbra of uncertainty you call unconsciousness. Or perhaps you have met me at a book signing. I am R.A. Grimes, author. In some countries I am worshipped as a god, in other countries I am a wanton fugitive, a malefactor, of desperado as it were. Who am I? Adventurer, a drunken fornicating playboy with a love for fine women and fine cheese. Tonight I'd like to take you on a journey into my heart of darkness. Don't worry, I have a flashlight. History is full of wars, of people fighting against one another for all kinds of reasons. Why do people go to war? I can narrow it down to 2 reasons. To better their way of life, or to protect their way of life. But that is just at our core, our nature. The exploitation of our nature is how we get many of our unexplained wars of recent time, all brought on by the very unnatural politics, media, and industry. Allowing people to choose for themselves is always a scary thing. That is why it is the essence of democracy to have faith in your fellow man, to make accessible relevant information and then take a deep breath and a long step back, maybe not even with fingers crossed or with prayer. For it should always be possible that the people may vote against you, and again, it is the essence of democracy that the majority is always right. If you start questioning that truism, wherever you end up, it is no longer democracy, where the native population has grown to trust that their own will is respected, that military force exists solely to assist them to build a structure that can independently sustain that will. The perception of external threat drops sharply. In the absence of external threat, global extremism simply cannot thrive. And isn't that what we really seek, as a first approximation of true peace? Will this happen? If history dictates, then the answer is, sadly, no. What role does the government play in your existence? Does it help you live? Does it feed, clothe, and shelter you? Do you need it to help you work or play? If you are ill, do you call the physician or the policeman? Can the government give you a greater ability than nature endowed you with? Can it save you from sickness, old age, or death? Consider your daily life and you will find that in reality the government is no factor in it at all, except when it begins to interfere in your affairs, when it compels you to do certain things or prohibits you from doing others. It forces you, for instance, to pay taxes and support it, whether you want to or not. It makes you don a uniform and join the army. It invades your personal life, orders you about, coerces you, prescribes your behavior, and generally treats you as it pleases. It tells you even what you must believe and punishes you for thinking and acting otherwise. It directs you what to eat and drink, and imprisons or shoots you for disobeying. It treats you as a bad boy or as an irresponsible child who needs the strong hand of a guardian, but if you disobey it holds you responsible, nevertheless. And now it is time to take you back to school, old school that is.
Popularity. What is it made of? How does a person get to be popular with lots of people and have a few close friends too? Let's watch and see what makes people like one person and not another.
Hey, Jerry, there's that new girl in our math class.
Oh, yes. Her name's Carolyn Ames. She's a swell kid.
Why? Do you know her?
Not very well. I wish I did. I don't know what it is, but there's something about her you like.
Well, she always looks nice to start with.
Yeah, especially when you compare her with some of the weird characters in this place.
Yoo-hoo!
Jenny thinks that she has the key to popularity, parking in cars with the boys at night. When Jerry brags about taking Jenny out, he learns that she dates all the boys, and he feels less important. What about Jenny? Does that make her really popular? Do the boys and girls like her? Is she welcome to join this group?
Hi, Betty. Ellie. You can rest your tray here, Jenny, for a minute. Thanks. Say, Wally, how's the play coming along?
Oh, okay, Jenny.
Here, Jenny.
No,
Thanks,
girls
Jerry.
who park in cars are not really popular. Not even with the boys they park with. Not when they meet at school or elsewhere.
Nothing like being Miss Popularity.
Yeah.
Meow, meow.
Okay, Ellie. Now there's a girl that'd really get my vote.
Let me ask her over, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Ellie.
Why not?
Now, why do they invite Carolyn to join their group when Jenny wasn't welcome? Is it because they like the way she looks and dresses? Because she seems as interested in girls as in boys? Because they've heard no scandal about her?
I guess you know everybody, don't you, Carolyn?
Hi.
Well, I've seen you around. Betty Richards, Carolyn Ames. Betty's the lead in our class play.
Oh, yes. I looked in on it yesterday.
We're all in on it in one way or another. I'm on the costume committee.
And Jerry and I are stagehands.
Two among a dozen or so.
How about you, Wally? Where do you fit in all this?
Oh, I'm a one-man team that does a job with no glory attached. I gather the props together, and boy, what a headache.
You sound like you need a helper. Could I lend a hand?
Would you? I mean, would you really?
Sure, I'd like it. I don't know anything about props, but I could learn.
Well, I need some help, too, Carolyn.
Hey, lay off. I saw her first. Say, we ought to get together and talk over those props a little. Could you meet me backstage at 3:15?
Oh, that'd be fine, Wally.
See you at rehearsal.
I think maybe I'll take Carolyn to the dance Saturday night.
Well, better go ahead and ask her if we could work out a double date.
Saturday's soon enough.
Hello. Oh, hello, Wally.
I was wondering if you'd like to go to the Strand to see a movie Saturday night. And then go over to Teen Town, maybe.
Well, yes,
Or if you'd rather go with the gang on a skating party and weenie roast. We'd have to leave earlier for that, though. But we get home at a decent time.
Oh, the skating sounds like loads of fun.
Wally has used a lot of common sense in putting the invitation this way. It shows he has thought about what Carolyn might like, and he has implied his price range, so she will have some idea of what he can afford when she makes her choice. Carolyn likes it better this way, too. It's doing the girl no favor to leave it entirely up to her. It puts her on a spot.
All right, Wally. On Saturday at 5 then. Bye.
Well, that phone call didn't go on for hours. A pretty sensible attitude toward telephone conversations. Carolyn keeps a date calendar. Not a bad idea. She'll never have the embarrassment of forgetting a date or of being ready an hour too late. That's a good note to write yourself any night, but especially when you're getting ready for a date.
There, you too can do a manicure, Ellie. I might even know what to wear it with tonight if I only knew if Bill's dug up transportation to the dance.
You sure he knew to phone you here at my house?
I told him 3 times. I'll have to be getting home to dinner pretty soon. Take my advice. Think twice before you start going steady.
Don't you ever go out with anyone else at all?
Nope.
Well, don't you ever want to?
On nights like this, I do. I never know what he's planned. He just says, "Will you decide, Ellie?"
I should think you'd run out of ideas.
Oh, I'm getting to that point.
Hello? Oh, hello, Jerry. Oh, the props are coming along all right.
That's good. Hey, Carolyn, how about a date?
Well, I don't know, Jerry. When did you have in mind?
Well, what are you doing tonight?
I'm awfully sorry, but I have a date for tonight, Jerry. Tomorrow? No, I'm sorry. Well, call me early next week, Jerry.
Okay, Carolyn. Thanks a lot just the same. Goodbye.
Can you imagine that, Ellie? He wanted a date for tonight.
Sounds like your asking her so late went over like a lead balloon, Mother.
Maybe so. Well, let's see what else we can do about tonight.
No, it isn't too promising for Jerry. But after all, it's no compliment to any girl to call her so late she thinks she's a very last resort. And sometimes a girl likes a chance to get ready for a date.
Hello, Wally. Come on in.
Hello yourself. Gee, look at you, all ready and right on time, too. That's a good deal.
Thanks. Mother, are you busy? I'd like you to meet my father. Dad, this is Wally Johnson.
Well, hello, Wally. How do you do, Mr. Ames?
Here I am, darling. And I suppose this is Wally.
That's right, Mrs. Ames. How do you do?
Well, it's nice meeting you.
Oh, excuse me a second. I forgot my scarf. I'll be right back.
Don't let me interrupt your eating, Mr. Ames.
Thanks, Wally. I was just looking into the world of events before we go to dinner.
I tricked him into taking me out tonight. I understand you're having a little trouble with the props or the play.
Oh, not too many now. Much as I hate to admit it, though, Carolyn has hunted down a lot of things that we couldn't find anyplace.
Here I am, all set.
Oh, Carolyn, I made some brownies today. Maybe you and Wally would like some when you get back.
There's some milk in the icebox, too, isn't there? How does that sound?
Gee, that sounds good. We'll take you up on it, Mrs. Ames. Thanks.
Carolyn and her mother have found one way a girl can repay a boy for entertaining her. A bite to eat at her house will save him money. Perhaps they'll bring another couple home with them. That would be fun.
Folks know when we'll be home?
We'll be home before 11, Mother.
Wally and Carolyn are saved the embarrassment of the argument about coming in at night. That was settled before Wally arrived. The hour was decided after considering such things as where Carolyn and Wally are going on their date, whether tomorrow is a school day, and how many dates she has had recently.
Do you have your key, dear?
The family knows Carolyn will stick to her word.
All right. Have fun, you two.
I'll take good care of her, Mrs. Ames. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wally felt at ease with Carolyn's parents and will be eager to return to her home. They liked him, too. He is proud to be with Carolyn because she looks well, is friendly with everyone, and is considerate of their feelings. She likes him for these same reasons, and also because he is fun to be with. Home, parents, and personality all help boys and girls to be popular.
It is a common political tactic to promise benefits to one group and claim that the rich will pay for it. Don't worry about the cost of these goodies. We'll just tax the rich to pay for it. The general mantra has been that 95% of the population will not experience a tax increase, and may get a tax reduction. Taxes are to increase on the upper 5%. Some talking heads on TV have even claimed that the top 2% of income earners will pay for much of the healthcare and other social programs. I set out to determine if taxing the rich to pay for everything is even possible. I focused on IRS estimates for 2011 and afterwards. The predicted budget deficits for 2011 to 2014 are between $650 billion and $970 billion. Note that this assumes a strong economy in those years. If the economy is weak, the deficits will be much greater. In 2006, the top 1% in income paid a total of $409 billion in income taxes. The top 5% paid $616 billion. Note that if these people paid double their tax payment, they would not be able to pay for the increased spending. I am aware of no one even talking about doubling the tax rates on the rich. Most are talking about increasing the top rate from 35% to 39%. That might increase revenue by $50 billion or so, which is nowhere near the $600 billion to $1 trillion needed. So what is the lesson here? We are not going to be able to tax the rich to pay for our social benefits. We will either have to forgo the benefits, or we will all experience significant increases in taxes regardless of what the politicians and talking TV heads say. Our brains are different from those of all humans before us. Our brain is modified on a substantial scale, physically and functionally, each time we learn a new skill or develop a new ability. Massive changes are associated with our modern cultural specializations. The internet is just one of those things that contemporary humans can spend millions of practice events at, that the average human 1,000 years ago had absolutely no exposure to. Our brains are massively remodeled by this exposure, but so, too, by reading, by television, by video games, by modern electronics, by contemporary music, by contemporary tools. In each stage of cultural development, the average human had to learn complex new skills and abilities that all involve massive brain change. Our brains are vastly different, in fine detail, from the brains of our ancestors. We have this wonderful ability to specialize, so powerful that each one of us can actually learn an incredibly elaborate set of ancestrally developed skills and abilities in our lifetimes, in a sense generating a recreation of this history of cultural evolution via brain plasticity, in a highly abstracted form, in every one of us. With the internet and contemporary technology evolving at a lightning pace over the past 40 years, the demands of uploading from our cultural history are incredible. But we are seeing more and more people falling off the boat.
Oh, the people. It is R.A. Grimes. international best-selling author and all-around good guy. You know what question I am asked the most is, "Hey R.A. Grimes, where do all your great idea come from?" Well, I can tell you, friend. There are no idea fairies. I use my imagination. Like other writers, and of course television helps. And if all else fails, steal from Shakespeare. What? Everybody is doing it. Stephen King, Norman Mailer. They all stole from Shakespeare. Do you think you are better than Mailer? I didn't think so, homie.
You know, one of my favorite times as a teacher is when I play one of those old movies, and I get to go outside and smoke.
The story begins over 100 years ago, in a monastery in a corner of the old Austrian Empire. There lived a monk named Gregor Mendel, a teacher, a man of many talents, driven by scientific curiosity. He spent long, busy hours working over a patch of peas in the monastery garden. He noted that some of the traits of the pea plants were clear and distinct. Some of the strains were always tall. Some were always short. Some had wrinkled peas, some smooth peas, some purple flowers, some white. And he set out to determine how these traits were passed on from one generation to the next. He cross-pollinated large numbers of the plants, and he kept careful records. After 8 years of painstaking work, he reported his findings to the Scientific Society in the town of Brünn.
And so, gentlemen, I crossed a pure strain of tall plants with pure short plants by putting some pollen from one strain onto the flower of the other. You might suppose that their offspring would be medium-sized plants, but not so. The next generation were all tall plants. And now when I crossed these plants among themselves, 3/4 of the grandchildren came out tall and 1/4 came out short. On an average, tall plants outnumber the short by just about 3 to 1. How does this happen? From tall and short parents, all tall children. And from tall children, a mixture of grandchildren that are both short and tall. This is my theory. Our original parents were pure strains, so each child inherited a unit for tallness, then a unit for shortness, but they all grew tall. That's because tallness is a strong or dominating trait. I call it dominant, while shortness is weaker, or as I call it, recessive. Now, these child plants are not pure strains, even though they are tall, because each contains a unit for shortness which is hidden or blocked by the dominant unit for tallness. But it is still there, waiting. So when these child plants are crossed with each other, a grandchild plant has 4 equal chances. It may get a tall unit from each parent and be a pure tall plant like the tall grandparent. A short unit from each parent becoming a short plant like the short grandparent. Or a tall and a short and become tall, or a short and a tall and become tall. And thus, an average of 3 plants will be tall for each one that is short. Tallness and shortness are due to hereditary units. Using thousands of plants, I have studied 6 other traits for color of blossoms, shape of pods, color and texture of peas, and so on. And these traits, too, are inherited as units, units that are passed on from generation to generation. And in every generation, they are shuffled and reshuffled according to the laws of chance. That, I believe, is what causes the puzzling mixture of traits in nature.
Gregor Mendel died January 6, 1884. His work was unnoticed by the world, but his careful study of nature had begun to explain one of her great mysteries. He proved the existence of something that could not be seen, the invisible units of heredity. The same units that govern your hair color, or the shape of your face, or make your eyes blue, But what were these units? How did they work? These were problems other scientists had to work out.
The prospect of death doesn't worry me, but the prospect of physical suffering and pain certainly does. When I die, I just hope it's as painless as possible. The brevity of life doesn't bother me either. It's nature's way of telling me to enjoy myself or achieve something or help somebody in need. Although it's nice to be remembered, that's not why most of us are here. Unless you achieve rare fame or notoriety, you will be forgotten in a generation or two. No, we don't leave to be remembered, we leave to experience, to learn and satisfy our curiosity. We plumb the depths of experience. We are intelligent human beings with an unbridled capacity for learning, the reason for getting up in the morning. Curiosity. What's going to happen today? How will the depth and breadth of my experience be expanded? The more curious we are, the more we experience and learn, the more alive we are. Human life takes place in a social context. We are all part of the body politic. Equally inescapable is nature's prime directive: survive. But these are not constraints or limits on our experience. They're the impetus for our quest, a quest driven by curiosity. Along the way, we love, learn and hopefully understand. Curiosity is far better than faith, especially if it leads you to accept life for what it is. Coming to terms with death means coming to terms with life, and vice versa. Besides, would a creator of the universe really be so petty and vindictive that he would punish you forever? If you really thought about it, you'd have no fear of hell, and the idea of heaven should really creep you out. My friends, the time has come once again. I see the fat lady has left the stage, and she is heading home to me, and I got to put her to bed. You could have spent this time with anyone, but you spent it with me, and that meant the world to me. So until we meet again, watch the skies. I mean it. My uncle was killed last week when an airplane engine fell on his head. Good night.